What's up, guys? So today's video we're going to talk about some of my past builds or projects, I guess you could call them. So first, I guess we'll start with an ATV that I had built for my son. I built it a little early. He's still not quite old enough for it, and that was about 2 years ago. But I'll show you some pictures of it right here. So that was it. It started as a cheap Chinese 90 ATV that was all beat up. A friend of mine left it at my house to basically rot. We were just going to scrap it. I didn't even think the motor even ran or anything. And so I decided one day that I would cut it up and see what I could build. So I had actually bought my son a Power Wheels with the diesel dually Cummins body on it, and got it home. I bought it used because it was cheap. Brought it home, figured out it needed a whole bunch more work than I thought. You know, it didn't have any of the batteries, the motors were junk, it was in pretty rough shape. So I was sitting one day and remember that I had this ATV sitting outside. So I figured, you know, measure the wheelbase, see if maybe I could just take the body off the Power Wheels and transplant it onto the four-wheeler, thinking maybe it'd be that easy. Well, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't quite that easy. I had took all the pieces off of the ATV till it was a bare frame, just had the motor, you know, wheels and tires, stuff like that, but all the body parts and everything were off. I did some measuring and found out the Power Wheels body was actually, I think, 6 inches. The wheelbase was 6 inches longer. So what I did was cut the four-wheeler frame in half, actually, and sectioned in 6-inch pieces of tubing to basically stretch the frame. Nothing else really needed any kind of work. I mean, everything still fit, throttle cable and everything like that. Nothing was too short. It worked pretty well, and I don't really think I did anything else to it. I think that's pretty much it. I did put which I don't think was in the pictures that I just showed, I did put a little stack in the back that the exhaust does run up through. The mirrors actually do fold up, you know, typical Cummins stuff. But yeah, I mean, I built it for him. He's still not quite old enough to use it, so it's just kind of tucked away in the corner right now. I think the last time I actually rode the thing, the carburetor started leaking pretty good, so it will need a carburetor, but that's about it. I mean, it actually fired up. Yeah, that's about it. So I guess I'll show you guys where it's sitting right now, just as kind of a little update, and we'll go from there. Most projects, it turned into kind of a shelf, don't mind the mess. It's just kind of tucked away back here in the corner with drag car parts and stuff like that. But like I said, the mirrors do work. You know, come up, woo. But yeah, I mean, it's still put together, just kind of tucked away till you can use it, and I put a new carburetor on it. But yeah, that's where it's sitting. So we'll get on to talking about which one do we want to talk about? We'll talk about the dirt bike that I had built, and I'll put some pictures and video in now of that. Okay, so what you guys saw right there was actually I was on Craigslist board as usual, and came across a Honda. I think it was a, what was it? '03 450R frame, complete roller. The only thing it was missing was an engine. So I went and picked it up, not realizing that those 450R engines are quite expensive. I had planned to just buy one and throw it back in it, something to ride and beat on, but I realized pretty quick that they're kind of hard to find and you can't find them cheap. So I let it sit for a little while, and a buddy of mine actually gave me a whole bunch of YZ parts, dirt bike parts, and I had listed some of them for sale. And a guy messaged me and asked if I would trade the front wheel and tire, or the front and rear wheel and tire, for a Chinese 200cc engine that ran, that was new ish. And I thought, well, I mean, how hard could it be to take that little BS engine and put it inside this bike? So I did the trade, got it home, started messing with it, and surprisingly, I mean, I had to build engine mounts, but it really wasn't that bad. It went together pretty easy. Everything lined up pretty good. Chain and sprocket lined up like perfect. I bought a wiring harness for it off eBay. Cheap headlight kit. I think that was about it. And I painted the frame in a dark cherry metallic. Had the plastics done. And pretty much slammed it all together within a couple days and went riding with my buddies and never had an issue out of it. I actually kind of regret getting rid of that one. I did sell it. It was supposed to have stayed in town. The guy I sold it to lives in the town I'm in, but I've never seen it again. And I do regret it because that bike was pretty cool. But yeah, it was fun. It was a cool little project, putting a 200cc Chinese motor on a Honda 450R frame. But so next we're gonna talk about the we'll do an interesting one that a lot of people did like. I built, well, here, I guess I'll just show you what I built and then we'll talk about it. So that was a sport bike three-wheeler that me and a buddy, well, he had the idea. I thought it was stupid, but I basically built it with his help for him. And when I got it done, I realized, how cool it actually was. It was sketchy as hell. I mean, it was probably death waiting to happen, but it was really cool. And it was really, really fast. But what it was in either an '06 or '07 GSXR 600. We got it, it did not have a title. It came from a tow company. It was laid over, and I guess the owner never came to retrieve it, never paid his tow fees or anything. So we had bought it dirt cheap, and there was nothing wrong with it. I mean, the sprocket in the rear, I think, was trashed or something. I don't remember. It needed a chain or something like that. But it was all there, and it was in pretty good shape. So another buddy of ours has a bunch of four-wheelers, had a bunch of four-wheeler parts. We bought a rear axle setup out of I believe it was a Warrior. And that night started tearing the bike apart and getting the Warrior axle mocked up to see if it were even possible to do. Well, pretty much finished it in one night, start to finish, with tearing the bike apart to getting it back running with, or as a trike. And it was pretty easy. I mean, there was a little bit of fab work involved that I had to do, but it wasn't that bad. And it was real fun. I mean, turning was sketchy, as you can imagine. A sport bike, you lean, you don't really turn the front wheel, and you can't really lean a trike. So rollovers were a pretty big possibility, like with any trike. But it was cool. I mean, it was really fast. Tires were a little sketchy because they would balloon pretty good, and they were right at your, leg pretty much. But it was fun. Kind of regret selling that one too, but it is gone. Went to Arkansas or something down, I think that's where it was. I've never seen it again, never seen it for sale. No idea what happened to it. We did build a second one that my buddy actually bought as a complete basket case. The whole entire bike was torn apart. It was a Yamaha something, some kind of Yamaha 600 like cruiser bike that he ended up actually cutting the exhaust off and taking all four individual primaries from the exhaust and running them out the sides separately, which was kind of wicked looking. It was kind of cool. But he also got rid of that one, and I've never seen it again. Have no idea where that one even went. I don't think there was much else to it. I mean, it was just kind of cool little project. I like to just build stuff, different things, see what I can and can't do when I'm bored. So I guess next we can talk about I built a boat out of a sandbox. So I'll insert some pictures and a video of me actually sailing that right here.
High speed right there, buddy.
So that was interesting. It it was a sandbox for small children. I had one when I was a child. What I did once I finally found one was, which I actually drove 2 hours for one, which was crazy, but flipped it upside down and realized that the bottom of it was hollow around the center. It may have floated like that, but I didn't even want to waste my time trying, so I went and bought a bunch of spray foam, some fiberglass mat, and some resin to fill that section in where I thought it would float then. So I did all that and had a spare battery out of my drag car or something for it, but I needed some kind of motor, something to propel myself. I didn't want to, sit there and row around. So I went and bought a cheap little trolling motor that I found on Craigslist, and threw that on the back of it. It actually worked pretty good. It, just clamped down on the back of it, and I had a 12-volt car battery in it that powered that. Took it out for the first time. Didn't really know what was going to happen. I honestly thought it would probably sink. I'd probably get in it and it would just fill up with water. But it actually worked. I only ever used it that one time, which kind of sucks. But it did work. I did cruise it around a little pond that I took it to for a while. You could fish out of it, which was kind of my plan. More of like a novelty. People thought it was cool. Couldn't believe that I did something like that. But that one I actually do still have. I do still have the trolling motor and everything. Like I said, I've never used it again. It is sitting outside, but I do still have it. Life just kind of got in the way after I built it. I used it that one time, thought it was really cool, and it just sat actually up on my rafters for a long time until it somehow one night fell on my race car on the front fender and put a dent in it. So I had to find a new home for it, so it's just been sitting outside. But there is nothing wrong with it. It didn't sink, it didn't break. The fiberglass held my weight and everything. So that is there. I could potentially do something with that at some point. What else? I guess we can talk about another truck I've had that was just something different before they were real popular. I'll insert some pictures, and I think I might have a video of that right here. Okay, so that was a 1979 F-150. It was a rust-free truck besides the bed, which I'm sure you'll see in the pictures. The bed was shot. It needed a bed. But the cab, surprisingly, was rust-free. There was no rust anywhere on it. It was in great shape. The front fender had a small crinkle in it down at the bottom that I had straightened out. The plan was to make a really nice daily out of it. I put 22x14 fuels on it, and it drove good. It was a 4-speed truck, so I realized real quick that it sucked on the highway. But, I mean, it was a good around-town truck. No AC, but the heat did work. Everything worked inside. I don't remember if I have any pictures of the night I bought it, but it was sprayed with like some kind of nasty primer, and I sprayed it semi-gloss black. And yeah, it was a fun truck, but I have a bad habit of wanting to build something, buying stuff on a whim, and then getting sick of it really fast. So I drove the truck around for a little while after I finished it, and stopped driving it and got rid of it. That truck went to Texas or something like that. I've never seen it for sale again, never have seen the truck since then. I did build a custom grill for the front end, which I've done with almost all of my trucks. Like I said, though, it was a cool truck. It was a good driver, good little beater truck, I guess you could call it. Like I said, I did plan on buying a bed for it and going crazy with it, but it just really didn't happen. I kind of got it where it was decent and just got sick of it. Drive daily in an old truck just started kind of getting old. So, like I said, I did sell that truck, like I do with most things. And yeah, that's really it. But I just wanted to do a little, talking about past projects and stuff that I've messed with, stuff that I've built. I think I'm going to go ahead and make a part 2 of this video, talking about some other projects, but more vehicles that I've owned and stuff like that. I don't want to make this video, 30 minutes long, so I'm going to make a part 2. Yeah, I mean, that's really it. Next video, we'll talk about some more of them and go from there. So I'm going to cut this one off here. As always, please comment, like, subscribe, share with your friends. I'd really appreciate it, and I will see you guys on the next one.